Today I'm in the heart of a military range, normally only open to the Army and more recently James Bond. However, several times a year this site is open to the public, and tomorrow, for one special day, this place will have a better bus service than most parts of the UK. Welcome to Imber.
Hello everybody, welcome to Series 4, Episode 4 of the Hidden London Hangouts. At the moment, Imber means nothing to you. By the end of this show, you'll know everything you need and want, and probably don't want to know, about a place on the Salisbury Plain and a very, very interesting bus service. I don't do this alone. My goodness, why would I? Instead, I've got three amazing friends from the London Transport Museum to guide us through these episodes, whatever they bring, and today's is wacky beyond belief. Chris Nix. We had a bonkers weekend, didn't we, from the museum?
We certainly did. I drove my car across a range that would have been better suited for one of these, and by some miracle, it's still in one piece. I'm not. I put my foot down a rabbit hole and nearly broke my ankle. But we had a great time. But it was horizontal rain, and I'm just looking at one of the other people on the call here today and thinking, I could warm my hands on that tan.
Do you know, funny you should say that, because while we were romping around in the rain, Siddy Holloway was on the Isle of Greece.
I know, I'm the island of Greece.
I love it. I've never been to me. Do you remember that amazing song? I've been to Nice and the Isle of Greece, and I've sipped champagne on a yacht and all that lot.
Oh, I wish I didn't sip champagne on a yacht, but I did relax a whole bunch. I was in Greece for 9 days, and I have a little bit of a golden glow to take home from the UK for it. But, you know, I did think of you guys as I got messages on the WhatsApp group being like, I'm stuck and I've broken my foot and my car is broken. And I was like, oh, too bad.
It's like that tan is like a radiant 3-bar fire. You could post bread on it.
Do you know, it takes us back, doesn't it? Honestly, it was really bizarre because obviously we've got our WhatsApp group that brings everybody in. And on that day, we thought he'd broken his ankle. My car had broken down on the motorway, and it took me 12 hours to get back from Salisbury to London. I got home at 2:30 in the morning on the back of a low loader. And Siddy is drinking champagne and playing mini golf in Greece. Laura Hilton-Brown is frankly drinking her body weight at a family wedding, weren't you?
Well, yeah, it was my little brother's wedding, and it was a glorious day. I'm sorry that I had to pass up on Imber to celebrate with my family. What was really lovely is, especially after the year we've had, it was lovely to all be together. But I did think of you guys with the horizontal rain and the broken ankle and the low loader. But I was with Siddy on this one. I was elsewhere celebrating. Sorry.
Oh, don't we? It was hilarious. So when we had to book hotel rooms for this trip down to Salisbury, Chris had booked his and I booked mine separately. So you do the whole thing online. I said to Chris, I said, you know, how did you get on? He went, I got the last cheap room, £42. I was so chuffed. I'm thinking, I paid 130 for mine because it was the only one that was available in the hotel. That is rat baggish. So because coughed up, Chris bought me dinner. He bought me a curry on Friday night, the most delicious curry I've had in years. It was amazing. So thank you very much, Mr. Nix. That was amazing. Now, we have a playmate today. We've got Dr. Kat with us from the museum. She is the doctor of all things mechanical and clever and posh. So, Dr. Kat, welcome to the Hidden London Hangout.
Thanks. I've never yet heard our vehicles and engineering collection described as posh.
Oh, it's fabulous. It's fabulous. Where would we be without your stuff? It's great. Now, Kat is with us all the time because you're going to realise that she knows everything there is to know about tow bars and bumpers. It's very, very important. And she's going to explain the beauty of some of the stuff that's in the museum. Now, we went down to the West Country at the weekend for a very, very special event, but it all felt a little bit bonkers, as you're about to see. Now, Nixie, I do like our mandates, but what have you brought me here for? This is the rain. It's Salisbury Plain-ish. What are we doing here?
It's a historic village, this, mate.
Imber?
Yeah, Imber. So, story is, this was a sleepy little village in the heart of the plain. until December of 1943. The villagers here had been given 47 days to close down their houses and move out. That was so that the military could use it for training. So this became a test range, and where people could, test fire things, ready to go into battle. And the idea was that after the war, the village would be given back. Never happened.
So this is now a huge area of land. I mean, we drove, didn't we, in the car? It must have taken a good 10 minutes at driving at speed to get to the other side where there's a tank wash.
That's right, yeah, and it's a mixture. That side of the range is used as a tank firing range, and then just in the village itself, we've got these mock-up houses and some of the surviving historic houses from when it was a village, which are used for training on house-to-house combat and so on. So yeah, it's a very much an active military range most of the year, apart from when you can come and visit it on these open days.
And have a cup of tea in the church.
Absolutely.
So today, there's a group of people, including the London Transport Museum, who've brought buses here, vintage buses, some brand new buses. There's a bus for London down there I saw a minute ago. And they're here to run a bus service on a range with customers who are basically fans of buses.
That's right, and it's like Brigadoon, this place. It kind of comes to life once a year in this way. And right now, down in that hard standing area, you've probably got a better bus service going on there than you might find at a big interchange like Stratford bus station, just for one day, and then it returns back to a range tomorrow.
With a few celebrity drivers and conductors.
Absolutely, the who's who there. It's the great and the good of the bus owning and driving community down there. A lot of managing directors, former managing directors, even an ex-commissioner for London Transport down there, doing what they love doing on a weekend.
I love it. And quick word about the church that we've got behind us. This is one stunning little church, isn't it? Inside, it's gorgeous.
It is lovely. I think we should take the umbrella down just for a second so we've got a better view. But this is obviously the best surviving building here that's still largely as it was. And this is looked after and services are held here. Nice little ring of bells in there, which I've rung.
You pulled on a rope, didn't you?
Indeed, yeah. So this is kind of the heart now of the village that survives here.
I love it. Tell me very quickly, we're going to get on a bus in a minute. The London Transport Museum's brought a bus. What is it?
It's a 1936 Cub C94, lovely little bus that would have poodled around villages just like this, and designed to go into narrow roads and all of that. It's currently red. It has been green because of course it was a country bus for part of its life. So yeah, entirely appropriate to have it here for this village.
Now, I've already ridden on it, but you need to have a ride on it.
Yeah, my first ride. I've never ridden on it.
And also, the boss of the museum, Sam, he's never been on it.
No, absolutely. So it's a treat for us all. We've had to come all the way to Salisbury Plain to actually have a go on our own bus. But
Fantastic.
I think we should do that.
Let's go and do it. I feel cleansed now, having been so close to that church. It was wonderful. Chris, this is an event like no other, isn't it? Let's be blunt.
Yeah, it's unique. It's one of the reasons why we like doing it. Is it really is a bit of a statement. I think if you can run a bus service in this place, then you're pretty capable.
What do you think, Laura, about this? Because I mean, obviously you were in a church of a different sort. We were stood outside where seemingly the Turin shroud was being used as a floor cloth in there, but all very entertaining. More on that a bit later. But what did you make of this then? So you're in the middle of nowhere and all of a sudden they start running buses everywhere.
Yeah, so I didn't really know much about the Imberbus kind of convoy until recently when Chris went, I think pre-COVID times, and he was explaining to me how tricky it was and the kind of logistics that go into it behind the scenes. And because I work on the operational side of Hidden London quite a lot, I felt for him and Kat and how hard it is to make this happen. And I guess once a year a fleet of lovely vintage London buses convoy through open uninhabited landscapes, and you end up in an abandoned village and then a 16th century church. So in my head, I mean, this is idyllic and this is kind of almost fairy tale and some great Instagrammable shots as well. But then in reality, I'm kind of thinking the horizontal rain, maybe a broken down bus, Siddy and I there for a day as well. I'm not so sure, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not so sure.
Do you know, I was thinking at this point, if the girls had come, we would have had to bring a caravan with lilies, blue M&Ms and lots of makeup so that they could actually have somewhere to sit while we were not working. It was
because we're always so fussy about that, right?
I was thinking I'll be in there actually. I'll be in there.
I don't know, Alex. All this protestation just makes me want to see it happen next year.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Well, it's sort of, I mean, as you said, Laura, I think it's right on the cusp of being idyllic fairy tale-esque and potentially kind of horror movie setup because it's in the middle of nowhere and the sky is sort of dark and grey.
There's not even a phone signal. The phones don't work.
Oh gosh, wow.
It is like, it's weird. When you look at the pictures, I'm sure Chris has got some pictures of this place. Well, you've got what effectively looks like a deserted, evacuated village where when people were told to leave, it was like, right, I'm nicking the windows and the boilers and I'll flog those on eBay later. It is that desolate. And there are just signs everywhere saying, do not go here because there are unexploded mines and bombs. You've got Chris walking around with a shooting stick because he's knackered his ankle. It is absolutely hilarious. And then you've got these massive turning circles where I presume at some point they were like tanks turning. They've now turned this into a bus terminus. Honestly, you've got to get your head around it. It is quite bizarre.
Oh.
Laura, I did think of you when I saw this open top bus from Bath, which had Toot Bus on it.
Was anyone sat on the top of the bus in the horizontal rain?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Shouting,
wow.
tooting.
Come on, we're British.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Sorry,
So and that is more on that in a minute. This is the London Transport Museum's bus on the right hand side. What else have we got, Chris? What other gems from this? Oh, here we go.
Just
Look,
to show you the extent of the service that's operated. So almost in the middle of that map, you can see the village of Imber with St Giles's Church, nicely apostrophed there, with light refreshments being served. And then you can see some of these other places that are being served by these buses on the 23A route running around the plain.
Joining us later on the Hidden London Hangout is our friend Imber Clump, who is going to be joining us.
You have to go up Sack Hill to get there. You can go around the corner to Nook Camp. There's.
I was quite taken by Brazen Bottom.
Brazen Bottom.
Yeah.
And of course, not forgetting New Zealand Farm Camp.
Yeah, absolutely. A knock camp.
And these
places.
Nook Camp.
Yeah. So, where would you like to go, Sid? Would you Brazen Bottom or would you Knock Camp?
Brazen Bottom sounds fun. Start at Brazen Bottom, then pass through Gore Cross, and then head on over to Nook Camp, I think.
Nook.
Nook Camp. How lovely. So it's all pretty cool so far. I find this whole thing utterly bonkers, but there we are. Now then, we decided that we would get on this bus, which we are going to find out a lot more about in a moment. But obviously, we're there to talk about buses, so we decided to get on buses. So Chris and I boarded the Transport Museum's very own. And can I just say, by the way, Chris has worked at the museum for 20 years. Not once has he ever been on his own bus. So I found this puzzling, but here's what happened.
Well, Alex, welcome aboard. The Cub C94, and there we go, beep, beep, beep. We're off on our way. What do you reckon?
It's really cute. And I mean, this bus dates back to the 1930s, doesn't it?
It does, 1936.
It's interesting, isn't it, how in the 1930s seemed to be an incredible time for progress and change in transport. London Underground's 1938 stop. Buses like this were being born to do rural routes as well. It seemed like a time of great change. Would I be right?
Yeah, you would. A lot of the technology was getting to the point where you had a freer hand with how things looked because the technology was proven. This is a really good-looking, friendly little bus. It's probably I know Katariina, our curator, describes it as the second cutest in the collection. Yeah. But it just feels absolutely at home in this little village, doesn't it?
Very nice moquette as well. Just give us a little look as to what this is.
Do you know which one?
Well, I think this is RT, is it?
It is, you're absolutely right. It's RT. RT got used a lot for retrims. It went with a lot of the interiors. So you'll see it on trolley buses and a host of retrimmed vehicles. So yeah, it's quite a nice one, RT.
What's your passion about Imberbus? Because let me be honest with you, the girls and me, we drew the short straw on this one. The girls, Laura and Siddy, you owe me for this because it's wet, very wet today. They're on leave, and I didn't want you to have to do this on your own, so I've come down with you.
Well, I'm glad you came along, and I hope you found, like I did on my first visit here, there's a charm to it. It's a bit mad. And actually, the first time I came here, what I thought, in looking at the people who were here, the audience, and what they were interested in, I immediately thought, this is the same kind of people who are interested in hidden London, because it is hidden, it's curious, and it's definitely of London. More buses here today than many parts of London.
There's no public access to this area at all. It's effectively a firing range.
That's right, yeah. So it's only a few times a year it gets open to the public, and only once a year does Sir Peter and his friends bring this fantastic bus service. So it's very easy and pleasant to explore it.
While the bus is turning round here, probably to go back somewhere else, it strikes me this is a little bit like a grown-ups train set today.
Yeah.
You're creating a little world with your own big buses, and this is what I mean. You know, even Peter Hendy is here with his own buses. I mean, there are a lot of people like transport celebrities. I mean, this is quite remarkable, isn't it?
And we've had media here today taking an interest in it. I think it is a wonderfully mad British thing to do. And the fact it's had horizontal rain earlier only makes it more so.
It's nuts. One thing I was going to say, as we drive along, I keep seeing tanks.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is a tank range. You know, the tank crews come out here and practice. And you know, just in case you doubted it, there you go. There's a tank shell. There you go.
It's an
inflatable one. Thank you, the Tank Museum at Bovington. But you know, everybody loves a tank, don't they?
What are you going to do with that now?
Well, I thought I'd put it there. That might have to go in the background.
I'll leave that well out of shot. Thank you very much for letting us do this today, because this is proper fun, silliness. I just wish the weather was a little better. That would be even better.
Yeah, me too. When this last ran in 2019, we actually not only brought a bus, we also brought our bus shelter, Abbing a Hammer. That was quite the triumph, and I think we'll bring it again next year because it'll really help. A, complete the country scene, and B, give people a bit of cover on a day like today.
Well, let's go and take another bus and see what that's like, because I think, you know, if we're going to indulge in buses, we've got to go on another bus, haven't we?
You know where you want to go to as well, don't you? There's some fantastic names of places. There's New Zealand Camp, and better still, Brazen Bottom. Do you think we should go there?
That would be a really good idea.
All right.
So can I just ask, by the way, girls, have you been on that bus? Has anybody been on that bus on the team?
I've never been on it, no.
Well, this is ironic.
Great, you should come to Imber.
So, how come I'm the freelance? How come I got on it first? What? This is madness. Well, anyway, we need to talk to Kat, because, as I say, Dr. Kat is in charge of everything, and she is brilliant. Dr. Kat, how was the day for you, apart from damp?
Well, damp, I think, covers it, but yeah, everything went really well. So this time, you know, the bus didn't break down, and well, we got stuck in traffic, but you always do when you're passing Stonehenge, and yeah, everything went really smoothly.
And you have a very good roster of special drivers on this bus, don't you? Because, I mean, I didn't realise until I got there, but the former chief examiner of the Institute of Advanced Motorists was driving us around, the adorable Peter Roger. So, I mean, these aren't buses that are particularly easy to drive, are they? Let's be honest.
No, they're not. They're definitely not easy to drive. That one has the gearbox back to front, for example. Yeah, and you have to double declutch because it's that old. It's got the pedals in the wrong order, and of course, being very old, you know, things stick, and
yeah, I know the feeling well.
There's no power steering.
I'd just say, Kat, that Peter is about the only person that I would trust to drive that bus as close as he did to the back of my car to do the filming.
Oh, you've no idea how much it jumps if you don't drive it properly.
Siddy,
yeah,
you're quite experienced in lots of things. Have you ever double declutched?
No.
Thanks for
I
that.
think.
Travel's next. So, Laura, what do you reckon? Are we whetting your appetite at all for this bus trip?
So I think I need some more pictures and videos.
There you are. There it is. Bonkers.
I know. It does look beautiful. It's gorgeous, isn't it? It's just gorgeous. So maybe there's a little swerve, coming along. I also like that Chris took his case that he had at the Isle of Wight as well. I feel like I want him to open it. And it's a bit kind of like Pulp Fiction, where there's that kind of glowing
like a
amazingness inside it as well. Yeah.
That damn case. Do you know what? He took it to the curry house as well. He actually took it to the curry house. So what are you going to do? Put the naan bread in there? Take it away for later? It's unbelievable.
So, just a quick question from me, from Kat. So this bus doesn't actually get taken out very often. Do you guys take it out every year, or because I don't know if I've ever seen it properly?
We've not taken it out a lot recently. It was last out in 2019 when it was on loan to the London Bus Museum for a couple of months, but we haven't taken it out a lot.
Chris has got his case out. Chris, what's happened?
I do. I've Laura,
there it is.
You want to see the case, and here it is, fresh back from its trip. And let's just see if I open it up.
Yay!
See? Oh, clever stuff. I'm so glad I see this in 4-screen. It's so good. Well done, Mr. Nix. That bus then, Kat, just tell us a very potted history of it, because it is from the 1930s, as we said in the film.
Yeah, so it's a 1936 vehicle. It's one of 97 Leyland cabs that was built. It's a 20-seater, which is the biggest number of people you could have on board without having a conductor. And so that obviously means you don't have to pay the conductor. So it's one person operation in the 1930s. It was used on infrequently used routes and new routes to new housing estates, and to some extent became kind of victim of its own success, in that the little routes to new housing estates grew into bigger routes. Also in the central London area, they were often replaced by double deckers because the routes became more popular.
And I love as well that when you say it's a 20-seater bus, it's a 20-seater bus until Chris Nix gets on it. Because what Chris then does is he says, don't sit anywhere where the seats crunch. All right, so don't sit there, only sit there where it's soft. Because the fabric, I presume this Dunlop kind of spongy stuff that's in the seats, it sort of disintegrates to become quite brittle, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's natural rubber, so it disintegrates and creates this smell that you get in the bus, and it becomes crunchy and then it disintegrates. This one's not too bad. Some of our buses are much worse, but it does kind of gas off. It was used for a certain period of time, so buses of a certain age have this problem, and later buses don't.
It's funny. I'm just watching Siddy's face as we're talking about this. What, Siddy? Are you entertained by this, Siddy?
Yeah, no, you know what? I'm scrunching my nose because I know exactly what she's talking about, because I have been in some of the other vehicles that we've got, and it's sort of like, what is that? It's not like a bad smell. It's just kind of a strange smell, isn't it? It just has like a weird, it kind of dusty sort of weirdness to it. But
it's
it's,
isn't it?
Yeah. Dusty weirdness is what I would say it is, but
I wouldn't say, Sids, that you've got much experience of this, but I tend to find whenever I go near anything old, it tends to give off a smell.
When people walk into our depot, they often ask, what is that smell? And it's a mixture of things, because you've got lots of kind of old oil, you've got rubber wheels in there, but in that mix is the smell of the seats of the old buses, particularly if you're on the side with the buses.
I think you'd love it, Laura, by the way.
Yeah. Why is the one at the front right of a different design to the others?
It was actually pulled out of an old hotel in the 1930s and screwed down.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm only joking. I don't know. Why is it different, Kat? Why is that seat different?
It's to even out the numbers, because you've got the long back seat.
Oh, right. Okay. That's but it's completely different. It's like almost like a throne, isn't it?
It has like arms even.
Yeah, it's got.
It sort of looks like a giant baby seat.
I'm not giving anything. Well, I hope I'm not. Blimey, Cat will just slap me later. But when we were driving along the first time, and Chris is driving at the front, and I'm in the bus at the back, Cat had to sit on the floor on a chock to hold the door shut with her foot. It's all technical, isn't it, Kat, when you're doing this kind of thing?
It's very technical, yeah. But it was more comfortable than standing next to the door and holding it with my hand. But,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
what else have we got? What other pictures have we got, Christoph?
Well, these ones were taken when the bus had been prepared for duty at our depot at Acton. And so that's why you could see the host of materials ready to travel with it and fluids in case they decided to spring a leak. But there's this charming little book that I saw there, which is basically the maintenance instructions detailing all of the, how you service the gearbox and the engine and so on. But I just thought this was a lovely little illustration that in this service manual that they'd bothered to put this illustration in.
I love it. I've got one question. Excuse me 1 second, Sid. I've got one question for you, Kat. Obviously, I do like to have a bit of a route round in any of the places that I go because I am notoriously nosy. And I just wondered what the bin bag of cat litter was doing underneath the back seat.
Oh, the cat litter is spill dry. It's what we put down if we spill oil.
Oh, she's so good, isn't she? So it's not cat litter at all. I couldn't put it in my cat basket.
We do call it cat litter, but it isn't.
It's literally cat's litter.
Yeah, it's like she popped a little on the way through. It's like some prawn cocktails and some cat litter. It's all marvellous. What else have we got there? Oh, sorry, Sid, you were about to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, where did these buses serve back in the day? Where did they go?
Various areas. So they served in the kind of less frequent routes in the central area, but also in the London country area when they were painted green. So this one, for example, it served on kind of central area routes, and for example in Hitchin, North.
Where I come from. They had those in Hitchin, did they? Wow, that's amazing.
It in the Hitchin area, North Fleet. Some of them serve kind of north and east London is probably kind of
main areas.
Well, if you told me that, I'd have fallen in love with it immediately. Honestly, this is quite clearly this ancestral bus. This is amazing. I see that is just beautiful, isn't it? We took that photograph, didn't we, at the top, Chris, during a cessation of the horizontal rain.
This is just above Imber village, and doesn't it look at home there in the countryside? This is where it wants to be, and you can see there some of the places on the display blind at the front that it used to serve.
That's Mount Imber City, by the way.
Oh yes, okay.
Yeah.
Is it cold inside that bus?
Not when everyone's talking. It gets very steamy.
Lots of hot air.
A lot of hot air. The lights come on though. The lights work. That was good for filming purposes. And is there a heater on board, Kat?
This one, from memory, doesn't have a heater.
No, I didn't see the oyster touch in, touch out either. I presume
no, they didn't really do oyster.
No.
The driver would have had a bell punch machine and pre-printed tickets. And he would have been wearing the bell punch machine, and there's a little slot where the pre-printed ticket rack goes into.
Love it.
Would have been
Absolutely love
fares, which of course in those days was not what you would do. You'd have a conductor who collects the fares.
No, well, absolutely. Laura, if you're driving this thing, by the way, you're gonna have to handle money as well, so you might want to wear some gloves.
Absolutely. I'd actually quite like a little drive of that. It looks I like that it's called a cub as well.
Let's start you off on a route master first before we get you double clutching on a 1930s cub bus. This sounds all deeply complicated. I never really understood the whole notion of double declutching. I'm not quite sure what you actually have to do. Maybe we'll come to that later.
What does that mean when you said that earlier?
Glad you
episode in its own right. That
is it.
Double declutch.
Are you keen to learn, Sid?
Well, double D is no, I'm not going to even go there.
So it's when you press the clutch down, you have to let it up again, then change gear, then put the clutch down again.
Oh,
Basically, on a
okay.
modern car, you have a thing called a synchromesh, which when you change gear, adjusts the idle speed of the gearbox so that it's going at the right speed for the gears to mesh.
Oh,
But
yeah.
double D clutching is when you have to, it stands for double depress. So
You
bring
push
it out
down,
of,
you
bring it out
release,
of
you
gear,
exchange, and then you
rev the
push down,
engine
and
to
then
the point where it'll be the right speed, and you have to
Okay.
judge the right speed. And when it goes crunch, that's because you've misjudged the speed.
Oh God! So you actually,
Yeah.
could, if you declutch wrongly, you could damage your gear.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh,
one
yeah,
we don't
yeah,
let
yeah.
people loose on our older vehicles because they've basically just got dog clutches. So if you mess it up, that grinding noise is you shaving metal off the gears.
oh God,
Siddy, do you think
stressful.
you're now capable of doing this?
You know what? I am a pretty dexterous driver, double D again. So I think I would be able to kind of crack it if I gave it a good old go.
I would predict that Siddy will be annoyingly good at it very quickly.
I'd rather you didn't crack it.
I love the idea that we're in quite dangerous territory here on the Hidden London Hangout, because at the moment the team doesn't know whether or not this is part of the show or not. So let's just crack on as if it is. This is great. Anyway, so the next bus we went on was the Benz bus from the north, right? So if you imagine the Route Master, you rat bag. So if you imagine the Route Master bus from London, it's a rear entry platform bus. Okay, you jump on at the back. Thanks, Chris. This one has got doors at the front, and we decided to have a look at that.
Well, do try. And we should say thank you to Chris and to Helen, who've been helping us with the filming today. Thank you.
Chris, this is a Northern Route Master bus.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
Well, I instantly like it more because it's Northern.
Like being back at home. This was built in 1964 for the Northern Bus Company. And it's one of the, believed to be the only company that bought the Route Master buses new with a front door on them. Not a back panel, like a platform at the back.
I think that was the thing. Not everywhere allowed the licensing of open platform vehicles, or were used to them. So there were variants made.
And really interesting as well. I don't know whether you've seen it running around Imber today. There was also a British European Airlines, which then became British Airways. They had buses, Route Master buses, with the front door on as well. I guess to move you around the airport.
Yeah, and I love the BEA one. I'm itching to jump on it if I get the opportunity, because of course it should have the BEA maquette on it. Which is sort of sandy coloured one, which I really like.
Nice.
Yeah.
One other thing to tell you about this, there is a driver at Concert Depot up in County Durham who still works at that depot and drove this very bus when it was in service. So he's been there a very, very long time and knows every secret, every bump, every dimple of this bus.
That's lovely to have got that continuous heritage there.
That's really, really cool. And this is the first time this bus has been to Imber.
It's great. There's something each year that I've come here, there's been something different, a host of different buses here, both from the museum, but also other enthusiast groups and owners who bring them here to be part of the parade.
One thing I'd change, no moquette.
I know.
I don't want wipe clean. I want hoovers. I want hoovers and dry clean only. So we had a little lovely look at that Benz bus, but interestingly, down south, the only other example of those Route Masters with doors was actually for an airline, of all things, at an airport, wasn't it, Chris?
It was, and there's a couple of examples that we've got here of different Route Masters. So if we have a look at this, you've got on the left the kind of Route Master bus that you might be familiar with in red. And then on the right, a very different
British European Airlines. So what effectively now is British Airways was British European Airlines once. And it's a beautiful bus, isn't it, Chris? It's got its own, for any fans of moquette out there, it has its own maquette. A beautiful design.
It does. So these buses were used to shuttle passengers between the West London Air Terminus at Cromwell Road in Kensington out to what was known as London Airport, London Heathrow. And so reasonably long distance, and obviously an express, it wasn't a stopper. And that's why it looks like it's more of a coach variant. It's got doors on it, and also there at the front.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Show us the
So
show us
inside,
the moquette.
and I've put it away in my case now.
That blooming case, honestly,
magic
it's the
case
death of him.
Yeah, if we have a look at the maquette in the golden glow, here you go. That is the lovely. Sorry, I ought to orientate it because it would be vertical stripe.
And if we were going into the colours of this, Christopher, it's a bit like a bumblebee. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's kind of a sandy-coloured bumblebee. I would describe it as. But it's got this. I think it would be quite a perhaps slightly drab version of the Routemaster maquette, but for the fact it's got these salmon pink lines running through it, which I think just lift it rather nicely. Those people who've been watching us for a long time will remember this is the material I chose to make the cat scratching post out of.
Yes,
that's rather nice.
What do you think of the design then, Laura? What do you think of that design, Laura?
I quite like it. I also like that you referred to it as a bumblebee. That's quite a nice. I like that. I probably wouldn't have put that colourway together personally, but it works. So I'm a fan.
The good thing about it is you can use lighter colours on those buses because people going on holiday are usually wearing clean clothes and often light colours because they're about to board a very dirty old plane where they're about to use proper cutlery in the 60s and nice crockery. And their trousers, because women are wearing trousers at this point to get on their planes. It's lovely with a scarf tied at the side.
Oh, I would love to go on as 1960s. Well, I mean, it's a little scary, but yeah. Can you imagine if we all dressed up and went on a 1960s plane? That'd be amazing.
Well, I mean, you're
maybe season 5.
Yeah, train cabin crew. I could do this for you. I could serve you your feather or leather. Yes, Chris.
Alex, just while we have the case of many things here, I'm going to keep that golden glow gag running forever now.
Too good. Series 4, the case.
So this is the maquette that we were sat upon on the Cub.
It's nice, isn't it? You could tell that's good.
Gorgeous.
That's very Hitchin. Very Hitchin.
Again, ready to be made into a cravat, Laura. I know you're. I know you.
Yeah, one day.
It was waistcoat you were.
We've got to do it, haven't we, Laura? We've got to make him a waistcoat out of maquette for some sort of Christmas or birthday, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm not sure we're as good at the old sewing as Chris is. He might have to make his own.
Yeah.
You just want me to see me boiling hot.
We'll give the idea. You can give it back to us and we'll wrap it up and then we can give it to you. Ta-da!
Oh, surprise! An amazing gift I've made myself. Good stuff. So while we were there, we wanted to meet the guys who put Imber together and actually organised the whole thing. Who gets the money that's raised, how it's organised, how the buses get there, who engineers them when they break down, all that caper. Go away. Go away. Am I leaving that in?
Yeah.
We decided to speak to Sir Peter Hendy, former commissioner of TfL, now the man who's in charge of Network Rail. Sir Peter, big day for you here at Imberbus. How did this all start?
So there were 4 of us in a pub one evening, 12, 13 years ago, and we thought, where's the most obscure place you could run a bus service? And the answer is a place you can't normally get to and one where nobody lives. And here we are at Imber.
And this place is slightly creepy to look at, isn't it? Because it's desolate.
I don't think it's creepy, it's very special because nobody's here most of the time except the army and the beautiful church. And actually, if you come other than today, when it's quiet, actually it's completely quiet, it's silent, no birds on the plane because of the gunfire, and it's quite a special place actually, eerie at night.
You love the place, but you also love buses, and you own a bus or several, don't you?
Yeah, there's one over there.
Yeah, which one do you own?
There we are, RTW467.
That one there?
That's Leon and me.
Amazing. Where does this bus interest come from with you?
I was born with it. So and most of us are. I'm not ashamed of it. It's great, isn't it?
And what is it about buses that you love? For me, it's the moquette. It's the memories of going on a bus as a kid. What about it for you?
Well, they're red, they're everywhere, they're all slightly different, all the numbers, and actually the people. So actually what happens is, when you grow up as a kid, you take all the numbers, and then you start working for a place like London Transport, and you discover all the people are extraordinary, because many of the people in the transport industry never expected to join it. They just fell into it in a whole variety of ways, and they're great people.
I love it. And today we've got quite an interesting fleet of buses going around this area. Talk us through some of the highlights.
So today we've got 24 buses. This is probably this is one of the most frequent services in the south of England for this place, and it only runs once a year. Look, big queue of people in Imber.
There's a huge queues of people. Even though we're in the middle of Salisbury Plain, we've even got the roundels on bus stops.
Of course.
You've thought about the detail.
This is a proper bus service. All the buses have running numbers. Some of them running to schedule.
And it's always the Route 23A, isn't it?
Of course, it's always the Route 23A.
I love it. And so your favourite bus is obviously your own.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're all good.
There's a really lovely BEA one, isn't it? British European Airlines. That's a beautiful bus.
Yeah, there is.
And then, of course, we've got the Bus for London and all the new ones that we see running around the capital now.
Well, you've got to have access for people in wheelchairs and disabled, so our bus service has that too. So
it's going to carry on, do you reckon?
Complete, isn't it?
Imber's here to stay?
So, of course, we couldn't do it last year. 2019 was manic. We made £27,000 for charity, and actually we had cars here. So this is the first year when there are no cars on the plane, just buses. The only way you can get to Imber today is by bus, and we're hoping it'll be successful. The military seem pleased. Actually, we're quite pleased because I spent 3 hours as a car park attendant in 2019, which was not good for the soul. So, we're doing all right. So hopefully we can do car-free days in the future.
And which charities do you look after?
So we do the church. St Giles's Church is looked after by the Church Conservation Trust. St Giles's itself has a charitable fund, so we give money to the church.
That's the church in Imber, isn't it?
Yes, and if you go there today, you'll see the railings on the path on the way up we paid for. We paid for the ring main, we paid for the lights, we paid for the new interpretation panels in the church. So we do St Giles's, we do the Church's Conservation Trust, we obviously do the Royal British Legion because of the military connections, and then in 2019 we had so much money that we gave it to charities sponsored by the bus companies who send the buses.
I absolutely love this. And finally, just give us your verdict on the bus that the London Transport Museum sent today.
So of course this is beautiful. This is the sort of bus that would have been used on a route like this. The last service bus in Imber before we started our service ran in November 1943, and it wouldn't have quite been this, but it would have been something like it. This is what the inhabitants of Imber would have got to Devizes and Warminster twice a week. In fact, their bus service had a faster running time than ours because it probably had rather less people on it.
And fewer potholes as well. There are a few potholes.
Yeah. So this is perfect for the occasion.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for letting us come down and have a play as well.
Enjoy Imberbus, and hopefully everybody watching come back next year. We'll be here.
What an interesting chappie though, and all that money going to those lovely causes as well, and also looking after that church at the top of the hill. Kat, was it a good day for the museum as far as you were concerned?
It was a good day, yes. We saw a lot of people, drummed up a lot of interest, a lot of people got to visit the bus.
And what about you girls? I mean, have we whetted your appetite for next year? All I would say is find some wellies.
I'm really looking forward to going next year. I think we're going to make some really good content from it, and I can't wait. To be honest, Chris has been talking to me about Imber for probably like 6 years, and I was like, oh, that weekend I'm so busy. But I'm next year. Laura, we're going, right?
Yeah, totally. Do you know what? The more kind of Kat and you guys have spoken about it. It's super special, isn't it? And it's very rare. And Sids, why shouldn't we swap an abandoned tube for an abandoned village? I say embrace this and let's go check it out.
I think that's a lovely idea. Chris and I found ourselves at the bus terminus for one last moment, really, of contemplation right by the London Transport Museum's very own cub. Well, here we are under the Imber bus stop sign, which I'm still quite impressed with, really. We're in the middle of Salisbury Plain and there's a London bus sign. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
The attention to detail here is just really lovely. You've got the bus stop boat, as it's known, because it's sort of boat shaped if you looked at it from above.
Yeah.
And not just that, you've got the timetables, which are all properly done.
23A, there it is, look.
If you miss your last bus, that's it. You've got a long time to wait.
No night buses here.
No night buses.
What a terrible
The
shame.
next bus will be in next year.
This is quite remarkable though, isn't it? Because the types of buses, the types of people who come to this, there's families, there's kids, there's, quite clearly grandparents as well. This is something that clearly has an incredible feeling for a lot of people.
When you see the mix of people here, I think, it's just really nice to see people who've been seduced by that idea of coming to this brigadoon of a village that opens up once a year and come and do something fun, ride around and have a look at the area.
And I like the fact as well that the money goes to charity.
It is. I think it's nice that it's got that purpose to it. So yes, we're all having fun, we're doing something unusual, but it's doing some good as well, and it's keeping that place, the church, and other charities well looked after. It's interesting though, we're here with this pretending to be London bus service. I have checked, and the closest that the Green Line or the country bus services ever came was actually Guildford.
I love the fact you've got this stuff. Your house must be full of it.
Well, no, they're only small, Alex, and they're rather lovely things. So, there you go.
Look at that. Watford, St Albans, Hertford, Hemel.
And then on the other side, if we just flip that around, you can see that
Croydon, Orpington. Oh, look at that, right down to Horsham.
So,
Guildford. How far do we go out here? Hook Green, Hartley Court, Joyce Green, to Dartford.
But noticeably not any of these.
No, but I love it. So girls, you may have swerved it this time, but what I can say is come next year, I'll have a day in the dry.
Yeah.
The girls can come with you for a day in the rain.
Well, they could come down on their own. They don't need me.
But it's fun. It's actually really nice. And it was very nice as well. If we got to see you and you've been watching the Hidden London Hangouts, I'm so glad you came and said hello, because it just kind of means a lot to us, doesn't it?
It's been really nice to meet some of the people like Dave, some of our viewers who've been...
Kenton and his lovely boy. There's so many different people. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, so it's a nice little get-together for that. So if we didn't see you this year, maybe see you next year.
So come on then, Chris, if I do go next year, can you guarantee some sunshine?
Never a guarantee of sunshine in Imber. I think in the years that I've been there, it's either been wet or more commonly, if you haven't packed the sunscreen, you're going to get burnt. So yeah, it's a fantastic little place, but
I love it.
No guarantees on the weather. Maybe we could persuade Thomas Schaffenacker to scare us up some good weather for next year.
Can you imagine, Shaffy? There's your challenge. Get some good weather for that day. Just one day. It's all we want. One day, please. As always, notes, queries, and questions. Your questions answered that come in. Some lovely comments as well. Carol says, "I just wanted to say thank you for mentioning my name when you held up the coaster that I made you for Saturday's Hidden London Hangout a few weeks ago. In July, I came to Covent Garden, visited the museum, and had a Route Master cocktail. It was delicious. Just the one, Carol? Just the one? Sure. I also purchased my Moquette Land poster, which are going to add to my collection. I love the Hidden London episodes on YouTube each week, and have started watching Siddy on Mondays with the Secrets of the London Underground too. We had a great night, didn't we, Siddy, at the museum for your last episode?
Oh no, it was great. It was really fun.
So much fun. So much fun. We had such a laugh. Hello to Tim Dunn, by the way. Everyone assumes that no one knows each other. I always say, who's Jeff? Hello, Jeff. Hope you're all right. And nice to see you as well, Tim. Good to share a glass of wine with you. Also, comments on the other episodes that we've got. Paul Barton, an awesome episode. My son loves Lego. This is the Lego episode from a couple of weeks ago. Would love to build a Lego model like this shown and do it as a full-time job. Roland says the sound of that Route Master, pertinent to today as well, the sound of that Route Master was wonderful. There's something about the grinding sound of a Route Master though, Kat, isn't there? Queen of buses.
Oh, there is, yes. But it always sounds better with an AC engine.
Oh, she's getting ever so technical now, isn't she? I do love an AC engine. Hate DC engines, they're terrible. Stuart Aslett says, Alex, at 9 minutes and 20, you're so precise. He says, this isn't, apparently I said, this isn't planned, it's chaos. You should see it every week. Honestly, you guys rock. If this is chaos, then I love it. We love you too. Thank you so much. What else we got? We've got loads of messages have come in. We also, by the way, what's the deal with, Greg messaged and said, what's the deal with the band? The London Transport Museum band.
The Relics, yes. So Siddy and I are in the museum band, as is Sam, our director, and a few other people who used to work at the museum. But yeah, we've had a band for ages. I've been in it for 21 years, I think.
Siddy,
I've been in it for 5. So we're a cover band and we cover songs and play at gigs.
I saw the other day on Instagram that you were singing Like a Virgin.
Yeah. I also do Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Excellent.
Yeah, we
That's
span the
basis covered
genres.
then.
And I guess we could perhaps let the Patreons see a bit of it in
do it for Patreon. If you want to give extra money to the museum, join Patreon. There's extra footage there. All good stuff and stuff that perhaps we wouldn't put out for free on YouTube for a variety of reasons, mostly editorial. Long Branch Mike, this is the, do you remember the Swanage episode where we went and saw the Ding Dongs? Mike says, love Mike, I started putting in a voice tube communication system into the house. But your wife was loving that. Mrs. Long Branch asked me what I was doing in the bathroom, to which I replied, I'm drilling a hole for a communication system. Oh, this is too good for words. She was not impressed. Suffice to say, I've had a few holes in the house that are now covered over with ancillary jars.
What a great man. I applaud you, Mike, for doing that. All I can say is if you've installed one in the bathroom, for God's sake, leave the cork in while you're doing your ablutions. Nobody needs to hear that down the sound tube.
I'm so sorry. What have we done to the world with these episodes? Using the cordless phone's intercom function is not nearly as much fun. I'd even purchased Navy whistles to alert others on the voice tube system of impending communications.
That's very Sound of Music, isn't it? It's like the Baron in the in Sound of Music, sort of whistling the children into the house.
It's just too good. Erica Dodd says, I really love the episode about Lego. Not only have you guys got me into moquette and tiles, you've also now got me wanting to buy and build Lego. And there was talk, by the way, Laura, if you do want that train to have an element in it, it would look like a great electric iron. There are other comments about that.
Nice one.
Ben Apps actually says, I really enjoyed taking part in this episode. And Ian Johnson says, loving the Hangouts. I'm just wondering, would Stratford make a good subject for a Hangout? Guess it's seen a lot of changes over the years to create a hub that is today. That would be an amazing episode, wouldn't it, Chris?
Yes, definitely, yes.
Awesome stuff. Well, there we go. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to you, Siddy Holloway.
Thank you, Alex Grundon. Lovely to be back, all refreshed and ready to take on season 4.
Good stuff. And just keep applying the moisturizer, darling, and that tan will last and last and last. Laura Hilton Brown, thank you very much indeed for coming along for the ride. Just avoid the crunchy seats.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. It's a good one today. And just to let you and Siddy know that tans are totally overrated, just FYI.
Well, that's a good idea to go with if you're going to Imber, because trust me, there's no suntan you're going to get from there. Dr. Cat, thank you as always for just being fabulous, but thanks for looking after all those lovely buses and trains.
Thank you. Pleasure to be part of it.
And Chris Nix, thanks for the curry. Thanks for being my playmate again. And thanks to the NHS for letting him know that he hasn't broken his ankle.
Yeah, I've got to go off and do my exercises now to repair my torn ligaments because I've got to be fit to get in the cab of that Routemaster. So yeah, lots of work ahead for that.
You read my mind. You absolutely read my mind. So if you want to find us, do it via Instagram, Alex Grundon, Chris Nick, Siddy Holloway, Hidden London Law, at LT Museum. You can also talk to us via YouTube. You've obviously found us because you're watching us. The numbers are going up. We want you to comment down below. Like, subscribe and comment. Ask us any questions you'd like. Suggest other ideas for episodes. And we'll be back next week with somewhere absolutely cool. In the meantime, have yourself a great day and stay safe.